Hello everybody, my name is Prince Boss, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, well, we kind of got chewed out. We saw Inspector Hosonaga got absolutely beat up by the, by the ship captain. Nobody, I didn't expect it at least. He has bruises all over his face. He wasn't thrown overboard though, so that's a good thing. We finally also inspected the cabin, Miss Pavlova's cabin, by ourselves, and noticed that her pet is gone. We also went through an entire sequence of the ship being absolutely stopped. It was stopped dead in its tracks, and we're not going to Hong Kong anymore. We're stopped in the middle of the ocean because we avoided a crash. Having done that, we kind of, well, you'll see when we get out. Let's just get back into it in 3, 2, 1. We're gonna get chewed out. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Sato-san took a deep breath, and gently slid back the bolt. Yep, hi.
You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters?
Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, then. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought. We saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop.
Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere.
This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder, dressed in all black. You are the devil. Sorry? Me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is the first. You opened my trap case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes. Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he killed the man?
Ah, and he is a stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe?
Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everyone else. So is everything else.
Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil.
Doesn't look good, does it?
There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police.
Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Okay. Alright. Inspector? Help me out here. You've got yourself into a difficult situation here. By entering this cabin uninvited, I mean. Sorry, I was just so desperate to find a clue. I'm afraid there's really nothing more I can do to help you. If I push my luck any further, a punch to the face will be the least of my worries. I'm really sorry. I have to take responsibility for giving you the freedom to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin. Now this has happened. I'll have to report to the captain at once. I really need some help here. I need a savior to rescue me from this crisis. What the fuck? Holmes. What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes! He's wearing the tiara too. Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles felt like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. Yes. I wish to determine that if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. You again, the great detective. Inspector, I've confessed that I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than that hook on the wall next time.
What is the report? Speak!
An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case on the curious mystery murder that took place last night beyond this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all of the possibilities. No other explanations exist. Please do not say me. Do not say me. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to this case. Oh, we're going back to the great deductions? Oh.
You have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all know who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning, when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it! The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must have been someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, that's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Locked room. That is point.
The room was locked.
Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You're all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all.
What?
Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. The ventilator?
You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through hole.
That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening. It's not possible. But it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator.
Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is the speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. What? Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! Yeah, what the? Oh. The snake. Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the Speckled Band. A snake? Indubitably. That's her friend. Gotcha. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? Looks more stripy, wouldn't you say?
Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you?
You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that this is precisely the trap in which the culprit wishes you to fall?
Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap?
How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova?
I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me.
There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two. The same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life.
No.
He's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Hosonaga. What's wrong, Mr. Stroganoff? It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You would want your fangs. One want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh, we're doing this again, boys. Here we go. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. Aching heart? Her hand? Why she's holding it? And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what is the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was that friend with which you boarded the vessel, was it not? And, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in quandary. Oh, that snake does not like Sholmes. The victim's written observations on the night in question tells of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? Why were you hiding something?
No, do not look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to the quandary even now, hidden beneath your back. Yes, that is what you are trying, but failing to conceive. Can only be the snake's slobed skin. Evidently, even after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No. I do not know what you are talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the belt cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake, whose markings change each time it slaws a skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Alright. A beloved speckled snake. Alright, topic 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been appraised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. But Sholmes, dude, he didn't die by venom, by neck breaking. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. What? The almost, but not quite, imperceivable puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs to seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After all, the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you choose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. Train? Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you would release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the belt, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Yeah. Death by a venomous snake bite. Dude. He didn't die by snake bite. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. He didn't die by snake bite, my guy. Miss Pavlova has trained up that snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you observed a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible! You've solved the mystery! Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why SHOLMES has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Yeah, Sasato's not convinced, and neither am I.
Could I venture an opinion, Mr. SHOLMES?
But of course, what's on your mind?
It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me.
I welcome questions as to my method, and I will answer both loudly and proudly.
Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family.
You are well informed, madam.
And reptiles, don't drink milk.
Ah.
It's really only mammals that like to drink milk. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward.
No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova will use some other trick to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds.
Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears.
Huh.
Yes, so I'm not quite sure it'd really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling.
But madam, what are the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute?
I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements.
Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. SHOLMES.
There's one other thing.
You have more?
Snakes use their scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in each cabin.
Then I should try harder.
Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. SHOLMES. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator at the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine a snake could have had a part in this.
Sasato, you crushed this man. You crushed him. You crushed his hopes and dreams. He's practically crying. Well, let me at least help figure out some stuff. Undo my handcuffs.
I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh no, you don't mean...
Yes, we need to modify Mr. SHOLMES' last deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be.
Had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? I'm free! You've done it again!
Your handcuffs are gone!
Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see that they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. SHOLMES is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, logic, course correction. Hold it, Mr. SHOLMES. Alright, let's see if we can fix this identity of the intruder. I'm not gonna read this again until there's something different. Claim following, his death has nothing to do with me, this whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. That's wrong. She does have a pained expression on her face.
Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind.
But you're not sure Mr. Schultz has read her quite correctly, is it? Is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression, then?
Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova.
Can't be the aching heart. Oh, hello. Claw scratch.
Oh, Naruhodo-san, look! That looks like a very painful wound.
It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recent, too.
Well, whatever scratches her doesn't appear to be around here.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night?
When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse.
And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was that friend of which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent as we see before us. That one's wrong. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they?
No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow.
Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What is her true identity of this friend?
We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san.
That's where we'll find the answer. Oh. Her kitty cat. Ah, look at the photograph in the frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away.
She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she?
Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we'll better take a closer look at this. Such a cute kid. Look at this little cat Miss Pavlova's cuddling here.
Oh, what a cute little kitten! I could...
What? I could vie?
What?
Oh, it could...
vie with you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san, for the blackest outfit?
A black kitten. And from the looks of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attracted to it. Attached to it, not attracted.
Yes!
Without a doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratches on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear.
Oh no.
The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you?
Yeah. Taraka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind.
Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, the fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell us of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation, then, can we give, pray? What is this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. I have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden beneath your back. Yes, and that which you are trying to hide, but failing to conceal. Only to be the snake's slawed skin. That's a sock, I have a feeling.
Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back.
If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known.
Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's even so cleverly forced her to reveal something.
I thought deduction was a specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too.
Anyway, I find it hard to believe that the skin of a snake.
In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? A sock. Oh, that's not a sock. Hello. Snakeskin. What is it? Well, it is speckled, and it's a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. Long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end.
I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently.
How is that a toy for cats?
Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them and they pounce to catch it.
That sounds positively adorable. So that's what it is. It's a cat toy. Interesting.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you're trying, but failing to conceal, is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. And it is this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is like some Russian blue breed of a cat by the name of Daka.
Yeah!
A truly troublesome feline young Daka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Alright, so we got Darka. And the cat's toy, I think. What about reasoning number 2?
It was after I gave her her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty.
Alright, so a beloved kitten is the intruder's identity. Solved! Now, how did he die? We're about to find out how we're gonna fix this conundrum. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. It can't be a venom.
What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body.
That's right. But Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Cosmo wasn't poisoned.
Yes, that would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Cosmo, yeah. He wasn't poisoned. He was, his neck broke. Sorry to say.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can now only be explained by the post-mortem report. Yes, I knew it was one or the other.
His neck was...
Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath could be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm from it at the scene of the crime.
Oh no, could there be...
Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Will it? Cosmo died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone.
Yes, that is a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though.
Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Cosmo and deal him a fatal blow?
I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident.
Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it.
It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man.
Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Oh... The mark on the floor.
Yes!
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is deposit of shoe polish.
Shoe polish?
Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. The beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results. The undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot on at that point on the floor and tripped.
Please, no.
And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered. In that instant, he lost his life.
No!
So he slipped and fell.
I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as daylight. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you choose. And that's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case.
I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it.
I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened.
But...
And if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova tried to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes.
Where, I wonder?
Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. The hell is going on? I'm really, really confused. Oh, is that bottle? Maybe. In the waste bin. There's something in there.
This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all of the first-class cabins have them.
But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. There it is. Oh, what's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind to be playing tricks on you.
I want to investigate it further. Hello? It's a waste paper basket. Piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. Okay, so I have to present it then.
Yes!
In the waste paper basket. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the waste paper basket.
Ah!
And we have a fragment of some intricate glass object. It would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly.
Oh no!
So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of the glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in a waste paper basket in your cabin?
Yeah!
That's a very good question. Why is it in here? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? Oh, that's her little bell for the cat! It's the cat bell! I don't know. In that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question.
What?
Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the slow glass bell, that would be... the photograph.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from darkest collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. Inauspicious? Is that how you say it? I'm not sure that's how you say it. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. Ooh. So are we not going to be charged with murder?
I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry.
Death by tripping over a cat. Solved. So are we not going to be under arrest anymore? Right? Please? 44 minutes into this. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night.
It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands.
People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments.
She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her.
And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it.
Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me.
Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It is a precaution, really.
So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping.
So at that point, you thought it was safe to try and lure the kitten back out again by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin.
Darka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return.
So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden into the shadows when frightened. So does every animal?
Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then...
Oh. Crack.
I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. And then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent.
Cosmo was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on a glass bell and tripping up. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet. A combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards?
In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator.
Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen.
I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again.
Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least.
When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back.
Oh, hold on a minute. But what about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? Well, it's his, isn't it? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship?
Oh, I didn't say. The snake is my friend. His name is Pirozhako.
What? Pirozhako. Pirozhako? Whatever. What? What? You're breaking your own rules? That snake belongs to you.
He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here.
Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board.
Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long with our close friend? That's someone who understands?
Then you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, A gargantuan venomous snake. Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in.
No venom.
Hmm?
Pero Jackal does not have venom. He is harmless, very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny.
It's venomous.
Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
Ha! Like they say they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Pero Jackal eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses.
So... Is that what that mousetrap in the passageway out there is for?
Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food?
Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Oh. You okay, Sholmes? It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something go so inept to land a starring role?
It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My fellow Jackal has nothing to do with this incident.
Neither do I. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. I didn't do it. Come on, let me off the hook. Now everyone knows it, right? I'm not guilty of murder.
Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But...
What are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident.
I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth.
What?
Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
Please. I just want to get off the handcuffs, man. To be perfectly honest, yes. There is a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story of it. I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it.
Oh, because he wrote on the floor. Is that right?
He had a Russian word. I confess. I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. What? A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah! Not again! When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Cosimo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died.
about how that scene in the cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. Can you take off my handcuffs? I am legitimately not the killer, as we have just proven. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What should we ponder first? Is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? What is there? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten as he climbed... that has climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's what really happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right here in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Ms. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. Writing, right? He wouldn't have written that. Yeah. Is it this? Damage to cerebral vertebrae resulting in instant death. The victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow in the area, no external injuries. It has to be the writing.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That script. It's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese, in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. And that's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. Oh, we're getting there. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So, Sasato-san has nosed it too, then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives away the truth. Another piece of evidence that proves that this was no accident. In other words, the bell on the floor, she wouldn't have missed it. Right? She wouldn't have missed the small object if she came in. Oh boy. I hope this one's right.
Yes!
Yep. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass belt the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. If it's broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ugh! Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in the wastebin basket. Oh, would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both of these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Hosonaga died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah! Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Hosonagi's...
You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this.
What are you talking about?
Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out.
Oh, yes.
And the only other person in the cabin when young student died was you.
Yes!
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word of wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Hosonaga really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Uh-oh. Seaman Stroganoff.
Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company.
Oh, are you her dad?
But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal.
Ah, so that's it.
You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth.
Well, this is all most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How could you be so sure?
You are a great detective. You should know. Just truth it, look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me the killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible.
Ugh, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in the detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches, so they can open and close them from outside.
Fred, are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors.
Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel, not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sasato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside.
Not necessarily.
What?
I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind haven't been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes.
Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, and I should show you. And so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Ms. Naruhodo? Point out the telling sign of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. It would... Uh-oh. The bookshelf? Yeah, the bookshelf.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over?
That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before.
Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel, after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over.
I believe, yes, it's what is known as the force of inertia, acting on objects.
Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over the books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. Alright, so I was kind of right with how he fell and snapped his neck. I just got the item wrong. I thought it was the chicken bone. It was not. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah! It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello? Is there anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like...
Inspector Hosonaga. Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door.
Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of ineptia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed, so that is what happened. The SS Buria made another emergency stop. When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. After all the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments, it was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over.
Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I?
And when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything have toppled over, just like Mr. Asogi's cabin.
Oh my.
Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova?
Are you out of your mind? You say Buria made emergency stop?
It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine. Oh, it's simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm.
Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you only to press the button in times of emergency.
On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone.
Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. And this sort of button, one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Oh, he looked away.
Wait, it was you?
When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As, indeed, it did a little earlier today. I can't read. I can't read and try to read or speak fast like I'm trying to do with Sholmes. So Sholmes did press the button. I should have suspected. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself.
How dare you mess with ship? I report to the captain. You are in much trouble now.
Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin door slide closed. So, what we must now consider. Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not?
You are idiots. Burya is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop, even in the middle of night, there will be chaos everywhere.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? The log. No entries after 2.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right?
Ah, that is correct. Why?
And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties.
What are you doing with that? That is mine.
You rather carelessly left it on top of the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with the mind to return it to you later.
I left it there on purpose. That's where I put it always.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log.
That is... because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, you normally would write nothing to report, wouldn't you? Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened. Here, aboard the SS Burya. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish.
If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, Matt. A throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered from it. Ah! Oh, yes, I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. Since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. And then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. Stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Cosmo looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I think? Yes. In fact, I had all of that. Cosmo wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No. Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night has been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a... oh god. Soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course it's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes! Well, see, Matt. I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And, were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Uh-oh.
So, the Russian revolutionaries on board, huh? Interesting.
Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore.
These crewmen are your fellow comrades, I believe.
Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me.
We all agreed to help. Everyone together. She threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel.
I don't believe it.
You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night.
Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point.
Ah, we could not make our drug. How you say, dissolve.
Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning. Wow, this is going on forever. Jesus!
At midnight, and water near Shanghai. We brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boats.
All the passengers of the SS Burya slept soundly. Thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what had happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Cosmo's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meals of chicken in their cabins. After which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes! The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually slept in their cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. Wow! This was completely different than I thought. Okay. Okay.
You have talked a long time and said many things. What is point?
The point is, what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night.
But I don't know anything about this. I'm just a little girl.
You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen. Long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our own eyes.
A laudable trait.
What?
I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt in the wind.
What accusatory cry of guilt?
Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes, for observation of the basis of all deduction.
What are you talking about?
I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular. To expose the truth. Alright, no. We're gonna leave it here. That's long enough. This video's been long enough. Holy shit. Yeah, okay, that went on way longer than I thought it would go. And I see that we're almost out of it. So, next time, we'll finally be out of this mission, this case, hopefully. And move on to case number 3. We'll also be able to uncover who truly did the crime. Miss Pavlova, the crew, it could be all of them. Who knows? Please, stick around and tune in next time. This is going to be a dramatic conclusion to case 2. Bye-bye.